If your AC isn't cooling like it should, this simple upgrade made a huge difference for us. We have your tested step-by-step guide. Welcome back to Compass for Nomads. Let me show you how to upgrade your RVAC in just a few simple steps. For this hack, you will need a few tools like a straight edge, tape measure or ruler, a screwdriver, and ratchet. Mine were square bits, so take a look and make sure you have the right one before you get started. A knife or something to cut the foam with. A 1" by 2" by 2" piece of foam insulation board, which is only about $10 at Home Depot or Lowe's. And a roll of metal tape. When you have all the supplies, it's time to get started. Start by turning off your AC at the thermostat and flipping the breaker. I also fully disconnected the power plugs outside. Once you are done with that, you can pop off the covers and sit them aside. Now is a great time to give them a good scrub so they can dry while you work. Up next, you want to remove this next layer cover. On mine, there were 4 square bit screws in the corners here. Next, you want to remove this metal plate. There are 4 long bolts here that go all the way up through and screw in at the top. You will end up with a large opening that looks something like this. Don't worry about this box hanging there for now. That will get dealt with later. Now let's go back to that metal plate that was taken out before. This part here has to go. We don't need it anymore and we'll replace it with something better. Mine was really stuck on there, so I used one of these to pry mine off. You will be left with something that looks like this. This part here I bent up for later. It will help to hold that box up into place and along the wall. Next, I started taping everything up. I noticed there was a lot of empty spaces where air just gets trapped or swirls around in there. You may be surprised just how many spaces there are. Covering these will help seal everything up for better efficiency. This is what mine looked like when I was done. Next, we need to make some measurements. First from here to here. Then here to here. This will be filled in to direct airflow straight into the vent instead of swirling in this space. Don't forget to measure the other side too and make sure it is the same. To make that new center divider, you want to make measurements here, making sure to measure to the bottom of the side vent openings, or 1 inch from the bottom. I had inserts here that slide in after I taped it up. However, if you do not have those, it will not be any issue. Next, we are going to work on the section that we measured for. Cut out of the sections that fit your measurements. This is what mine looked like. The edges can be a little rough, but that is fine. We will be taping that up later. You will need to take out one of the corners so that the long bolt can fit through when putting it all back together. Along the long sides of the cutout, you want to cut a 45 across each corner the entire length of the piece. Make sure that your cuts are both on the same side. That will help it fit into the space a lot more evenly when taped in. I fit mine in and put a piece of tape to make sure everything lined up before I fully taped everything in. When taping this in, you can choose to leave this open or covering it with a layer of tape and a dot so that you know just where to poke the bolt through later. Do the same thing to the other side and tape everything up. Here's what mine looked like. Don't forget to tape the seams of the divider wall. Once that is all taped up, it's time to make more measurements. Measure from here to here and from here to here. Remember to measure to the outside edge of that side wall. Once you have that piece cut out, measure in 1 inch to compensate for that side wall. I took the piece back in to make sure it fit. Then I marked a line for the center of the upper vent opening. I also made these 2 side marks on each end of that vent so that the next part will light up perfect. Next, you want to measure from the line to the other end. Next, time to cut out 2 pieces to make the teepee with. Notice that one is not as wide as the other. I cut one 3 3/4 inches by the length just measured, and the other 5 inches wide by the same length. Using the marks from the vent I took earlier. Line everything up, remembering to leave open the 1 inch line on the one side. Here is what mine looked like. I put a few pieces of tape to hold everything in place and checked to make sure everything would fit again, one last time before I tape it all down. Don't forget to cut out the corners that will let you slide the bolts in and will line up with those other cutout spots. Now tape everything into place. I did not worry about that 1 inch section, it will be covered later. Place it up into place and make sure everything lines up. Once it is good to go, then go ahead and tape up all the edges to seal everything into place. Again, this part can be left untaped or just make a mark on it with a marker for when you poke through it. Don't forget to tape this wall over here. I forgot to make the marks here when I put it back together, and it was a little bit of a pain getting it lined up, but it only took a minute to get everything locked in. Next is the metal framing. Line everything up and put the screws back in using the piece that was bent up earlier to help hold the box up against the wall. I had to adjust mine slightly to get it as tight as I could to give better support the weight. Then tape everything up to give some extra support and make it secure. Keeping in mind that this goes down the road and will be bumping around when traveling if you don't tape it down. Next, reattach the white cover. Put all the screws back in place here in the corners. Put the filters and covers back on and in place. Now it's time to hook the power back up, turn the breaker back on, and give it a go. I was surprised just how well this worked. The EC works so much more efficiently and cooled much better. And that's the EC hack, cheap, fast, and RV friendly. If this helped, like, subscribe, and save this video so you can find it later. Stay cool out there. We'll see you in the next one.